Breaking news! A bombshell has happened in the last few hours involving the Dallas Cowboys, and because of it, some things will change. I'll tell you everything that's happening and how it directly affects the Steelers. Before you begin, make sure you've already subscribed to the channel. That's the only way you'll stay up to date with everything happening with the Steelers this season. Many opposing fans have been coming here to provoke our team, and what I have to say is this: the Steelers will surprise this season. If you're a true fan and agree with me, comment, "Go Steelers." Now let's get to the point. The Dallas Cowboys officially detonated a bombshell just 1 week before the 2025 NFL season by trading their key defensive player Micah Parsons to the Green Bay Packers. Yes, you heard that right. The Cowboys decided to trade the 3-time All-Pro linebacker for 2 first-round picks and veteran defensive tackle Kenny Clark, and this radical move is already having ripple effects throughout the league, especially here in Pittsburgh. Let's not sugarcoat it. This is a game changer for the Steelers, and not just in abstract terms. The most immediate and obvious impact is the trade Omar Khan made earlier this offseason, when he sent wide receiver George Pickens to the Cowboys. In return, the Steelers received a 2026 third-round pick. At the time, some fans were skeptical. Trading a player with as much raw talent as Pickens is never easy. But today, that pick has skyrocketed in value. Why? Because the Cowboys are likely headed for a disastrous season. Dallas, now without the best non-quarterback defender in football, has destroyed its own playoff hopes. And with this collapse, the Steelers' draft capital becomes a valuable asset. A high-profile third-round pick in 2026 could easily translate into a starting role for Pittsburgh, or even fuel a draft roster prospect. The grass clearly wasn't greener for Pickens, and while he may be catching balls in Dallas, he'll be watching the playoffs from home if the projections hold true. For Pittsburgh, Omar Khan's prediction is aging like fine wine.
But that's just the beginning of how this blockbuster deal fits into the Steelers' 2025 campaign. The Steelers are set to host the Packers in Week 8 under the Sunday Night Football spotlight at Acrisure Stadium. This game already carried weight. It's Aaron Rodgers' revenge game against his former team, but now it's become a heavyweight clash. Rodgers, now in black and gold, will face a defense that added Micah Parsons to a 7-man lineup that already featured Rashawn Gary and Lucas Van Ness. This is a nightmare scenario for any offensive line. All eyes will be on Steelers right tackle Troy Fautanu, who is entering his second year but is still developing rapidly. He'll be tasked with keeping one of the most disruptive forces in football away from Rodgers. The game plan for that night will need to revolve around quick releases and maximum protection, because if you give Micah Parsons even the slightest light, he'll wreak havoc. It's a trial by fire for Fautanu and could be one of the defining moments of his early career. And here's where things get even more fascinating. The chaos unfolding in Dallas opens up a very real conversation about the future of their quarterback, Dak Prescott. With the Cowboys pivoting toward a rebuild and now possessing high-value draft picks, the writing might be on the wall for Prescott's tenure in Big D. He's still under contract, but if this team spirals as expected, Jerry Jones could decide it's time to hit the reset button. And that's where the Pittsburgh Steelers could once again come into play. Let's project ahead to 2026. Aaron Rodgers, now in the twilight of his career, has publicly stated that 2025 could very well be his final season. If he retires, and the Steelers remain in their current win-now window, it could create a compelling situation. You've got Jalen Ramsey anchoring the secondary. You've got DK Metcalf stretching the field. Cam Hayward possibly entering his last NFL season. Drafting a rookie quarterback would be a setback, not a solution, in that scenario. Enter Dak Prescott. Say what you want about him, but he's still a top 12 quarterback in the NFL. He processes the game exceptionally well, is highly accurate, and brings a level of veteran presence that could mesh beautifully with Pittsburgh's defensive identity. No, he's not Patrick Mahomes. He's not Joe Burrow, but he's a proven commodity. And in a league where quarterback play often defines a season, Dak could be a bridge to sustained contention. Financially, it's not as outrageous as it sounds. Yes, the numbers are big, $40 million in 2026, escalating to $55 million in 2028. But Dallas has already absorbed a large portion of the deal through a massive signing bonus and a recent restructure. If the Steelers were to acquire Prescott, they wouldn't be inheriting the most expensive quarterback contract in football, not in real terms. And with the cap climbing each year, those numbers become more manageable by the season. For a franchise that has prided itself on stability, the idea of turning to Prescott might seem unorthodox, but when the alternative is starting over with a rookie and wasting a championship-caliber roster, it begins to make a lot more sense. especially if the 2026 draft class at quarterback isn't particularly deep, which early projections suggest it might not be. Pittsburgh, likely picking in the low 20s or even lower if they have another successful campaign, won't be in striking range for an elite QB prospect without giving up significant capital. So, what we're potentially looking at is a perfect storm, a Cowboys collapse, a fading Rodgers era, a Steelers roster still built to win, and a veteran quarterback potentially on the market who fits the mold of what this team needs, not for the next decade, but for the next few seasons. And don't forget what kind of defense Prescott would be walking into. This could very well be the best defense he's ever had behind him. Combine that with an elite supporting cast on offense and the guidance of a stable coaching staff, and suddenly, the idea of Dak in black and gold starts to look less like a desperation move and more like a strategic one. But here's where we turn it over to you, Steelers Nation. What do you make of this entire situation? From Micah Parsons heading to Green Bay, to the implications for Week 8, and especially the possibility of Dak Prescott wearing the black and gold in 2026, where do you stand on all of it? Let's not overlook the psychology of this move either. Prescott has been under the most intense spotlight in football for the past 8 seasons. Dallas is a meat grinder of media scrutiny and relentless expectations. Coming to Pittsburgh would allow Dak to operate in a culture rooted in loyalty, stability, and focused football. A franchise where the quarterback isn't expected to throw 50 times a game, but rather make the right decisions, protect the ball, and capitalize in big moments. That's precisely the structure Dak thrives in. Financially, this would still require some maneuvering. But let's not kid ourselves. Omar Khan has proven he's one of the most aggressive and creative cap managers in the NFL. If there's a way to structure a deal that minimizes Prescott's cap hit in 2026 and allows flexibility beyond that, Khan will find it, especially if Dallas absorbs a portion of the contract in the trade, which is plausible given how much they've already sunk into Prescott's signing and restructure bonuses. Now, this doesn't mean it's guaranteed to happen. A lot still depends on how the 2025 season unfolds. If Aaron Rodgers leads Pittsburgh to an AFC championship game, or heaven forbid, a Super Bowl, the calculus might change. Maybe he decides to run it back one more time. Maybe the Steelers find themselves in range for a prospect they love in the 2026 draft. Maybe Prescott stays in Dallas after all. But for now, this possibility has moved from ridiculous to realistic. And let's circle back to Week 8. Because that game might tell us more than any press conference or trade rumor ever could. That's going to be a heavyweight clash, Rodgers versus Love, Parsons versus Fautanu, and a coaching chess match that could hint at both teams' long-term directions. If the Steelers' offense stalls under pressure from the Packers' upgraded front seven, you can bet the organization will take a long, hard look at their quarterback depth beyond 2025. If Rodgers struggles or shows signs of decline, the need for a proven successor becomes impossible to ignore. Dak might not be a perfect player, but he's a plug-and-play solution who fits this roster better than people think. So buckle up, Steelers Nation. The 2025 season hasn't even kicked off yet, and already we're staring down what could be one of the most transformative off-seasons in recent memory. Micah Parsons going to Green Bay might have been the spark, but the real fire could be coming next. And if it leads to Dak Prescott under center in Pittsburgh, the league won't know what hit it. If you want more breakdowns like this, insider analysis, news as it drops, and deep dives into the decisions shaping the Steelers' future, hit that subscribe button, like the video, and click on the next video on your screen right now. All the latest, first and fastest, you'll find it right here.